It has become the headache of most Ghanaians when it comes to owning a home in this country today. Should you buy, build, or rent? And what about the general housing provision in the country today? How can we get it right? And why are we struggling to provide housing for the masses in this country? Well, on PM Express Business Edition, we try to engage a lawyer that has done some extensive work in the housing space. And he's also a real estate developer. And maybe a chief as well. We look at challenges with housing, land, and mortgage in Ghana today. And my guest is Nana Odenho Chairman Ting. He is actually the group chief executive and executive chairman of Comet Properties. And I'll be trying to have a discussion from getting his perspective as a lawyer and a real estate developer. What is the best way to deal with the housing deficit in Ghana today? How do we get around this challenge? Is it more of a private sector led or public sector? Land ownership, mortgage. How do we deal with all these issues? Wrapped up on PM Express Business Edition. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to PM Express Business Edition as we talk about housing, land, and mortgage in Ghana today. What is the better way to address this problem? I mean, we've tried in several years to get it right when it comes to the provision of housing in this country. Well, today I'm privileged to engage someone who has had some extensive experience in this area of housing. As a lawyer, worked extensively in this industry, and also he's gone to the provision of housing as well. And now Odenho Chairman is the executive chairman of one of the estate Comet Properties, and also a consultant those times with the State Housing Corporation, putting together all these laws and all that. And I thank you so much for you to join us on PM Express.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
And I know one would ask it. I mean, how are you doing? I mean, for you as a person and even the business as well.
We are doing quite well. I mean, despite the COVID-19. You just have to strategize to be able to sustain yourself and then also keep things going, to keep your workers afloat so that they don't really run away from you, because at the time that the good tidings will come, you still need your experienced workers to live with you and then also to carry on with your vision and your vision.
Now, you have worked in this industry for quite a long time, the housing industry, as a lawyer, now you move to provision. Do you find it interesting and puzzling that years on, we are still struggling to get it right when it comes to the provision of housing in this country today?
Yes, I'm not surprised, because we are a developing nation. And as a developing nation, actually, you cannot isolate housing from the state. Because for me, the state has to play a major role in the housing delivery. Not necessarily being the developer as it used to be, but the state has to look for cheaper funds in order to support housing delivery in this country. And if we don't make housing delivery, turning it to the formal sector of the economy, things will be difficult for states, things will be difficult for governments, and we are going to have a hell of time as the population is increasing. The first time that we had a formal housing delivery system was in 1953, when Nkrumah came into power in 1952 as the leader of government businesses, decided to form the Gold Coast Housing Department, which later metamorphosed to become the State Housing Corporation. And later on, by 1990s, when we decided to privatize most of the state institutions, it became State Housing Corporation. They started with where we have this St. Mary's Secondary School around the Kolebu areas, coming to Kaneshi. And when you go to Kumasi, North Sintreso, when you go to Sakrade, they had all these things. That was the first time that we started having it. And by the 1960s, when the TDC2 was established, was also government attempt to formalize housing. And when I talk about housing, I'm talking about basically about how we are able to provide shelter, and or accommodation for people, the teeming population. To me, housing is entirely distinguished from real estate. Real estate as a business has.
We'll be getting into that.
Yeah, that is.
But Nana, should it? I mean, you made a very, very, very critical point, and some are saying that in the age of private sector, should it still be government-led? We've had XTS, we've had several government projects, now recent one on our Seglima and all the rest. Should it still be a government-led initiative? Why doesn't government guarantee funding for private firms to take this lead, rather than government taking it? Or because it's seen as a public good here, there's still an element of government that you need in this?
The whole thing is that, you see, government policies could be as nice on the blueprint, but when it comes to implementation, it becomes a problem. To me, I don't see any basis where we should go back to the old system where state housing was delivering, and then after that, you go to the regional minister in Kumasi, then he will do the distribution and say, go and take house number 15 at Nsabakot and all that. Those things have gone away. Yeah, I have always been insisting that let's look at what the 9-point deal that brought about Roosevelt in 1934, when the Hoover regime of the Republican Party lost the control over the economy, and there was a Great Depression in the 1930s. The Democratic Party then decided that they are introducing new deals. Among them was housing delivery. And that was where they decided that let's create a wholesale fund, that is the housing urban development, that is HOOD, that created the National Housing Authority. And also had the warranting corporation, so that if there are even defects when the mass houses were done, they could be taken care of under insurance, so that defect liabilities are considered, and then they are catered for within the cost of the housing. So at least developers were made to go in and then seek funds from private companies to build, while the state also gives guarantees and then insurance. That brought about the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And this system has worked for so many years that even in 2006 and between 2006 and 2008, where there was a total meltdown of the housing industry, and then there was that bubble, I mean, only 6% of the government guarantees, that is the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac investment, got weighted away because they were well taken care of. And today, the economy is moving because America, 800,000 houses is a deal for it to go forward. So to me, we should be able to look at how we can raise funds as a wholesale. And I'm very happy the Housing Authority, as the government is saying, has been established.
You think it's a good thing in trying to deal with the challenge of provision of...
Yeah, it is a good start.
Quote, affordable, because some we don't have affordable housing.
It depends on the way you want to talk about it.
What do you want to see as an affordable housing?
My position is that when we are talking about affordable housing, we are talking about a basic cost of a house. Which is $300, which, excuse me, to use the dollar because it's international currency. In Ghana now, 10 years ago, if you want to calculate a cost of a building, and it's affordable, basic things like not having a very gorgeous or sophisticated kitchen and all that basic, floor tiles well taken care of, ceiling fine, you get not less than $300 per square meter. And then the National Building guidelines that has been established from the earlier 462 building code, we used to have 120 square meter as a minimum that even an architect needs to tackle. And I'm saying that if I'm providing a house that's about 120 square meter, that you may call it a 3-bedroom house. And then I'm considering it as a cost of $300 per square meter. It is $36,000. Then I add the externals and then the cost of the land. And those together, I think if I'm able to make it as affordable as less than $48,000, $50,000, that is a cost that I cannot run away from it. But your ability to pay, your ability to acquire it, your ability to own it, and take a mortgage that will take 25 years to pay is a different matter. But for in terms of the cost of it, you cannot run away from it.
So you're looking at somewhere around $50,000?
Yeah, $50,000, you should be able to have a decent accommodation. But how to pay it is a different matter that we can come to.
But can you, if government should give you even a project, provide a two-bedroom house for $50,000? It's not possible, Nana.
If a government gives me a project of a two-bedroom of $50,000, it's a good deal for me. In fact, because personally, I take it that the cost of the $300 that we consider as a basic cost for per square meter of an affordable house, I put my profit margin of about 35%, add 7% against the cost of tax. And if I'm giving exemption because it is affordable, so will be. At the end of the day, I mark a 10% against the cost of the land. And then add another 15% for services. And I want you to do the calculations.
The Housing Authority, what different thing would it do that you think that it would deal once and for all with the challenge of the provision of housing in this country? Because some would say that wouldn't it be another bureaucratic thing again in terms of having an authority to supervise in what? The provision of houses?
I don't think bureaucracy is an evil, unless there's a red tapeism and you start to talk about it.
Say that
but if you have a housing authority, the role of the housing authority, as we envisage and which we've been canvassing for so many years, was the fact that we need to standardize delivery of houses, we need to streamline planning regulations and all those things. We need to be able to canvass and solicit for cheaper funds, and then we'll also be able to give out a wholesale fund that will give it to the mortgagees who would then help to pay for cost of houses or for any houses that will be raised by the developers. So that the mortgagors are normally okay to get a house and then they buy. Instead of the uncompleted houses that we are having, that the police recently are saying that it as a result of the uncompleted houses, a lot of crime goes on because nobody knows who lives in these uncompleted buildings. And most of this are my very good brothers who live in Abuja, who come and they think that they can put up castles when they know that the money they have cannot even put a railway quarters. And then they start it and they are stuck there. And then you get some less lower income people taking perpetual occupation of the place. And then they will be flying Agbelema while the wife sells Agbelema, and then they'll be there. I mean, it is horrible. And then we must change its dynamics.
But in terms of the provision of, let's look at funding again. And we've struggled with it. And instances where government comes in to provide the fund, the instances where government bring in private sector and all the rest. Again, with the funding thing, do you share in the approach or the proposal about government guaranteeing? Because it's become a big problem.
Whether we like it or not, the first-time buyer, it should be by government guarantee with concessional loans, very reasonable one, and then at the end of the day, a long term, instead of present date, 10, 15, it should be 25 to 30. And the whole thing is that our ability to get mortgage is our ability to earn so much in order to take care of this. And for the cost of the buildings, the cost of the houses, I don't think it is anything expensive. It is not.
You still think
very, very reasonable.
You think that
there was an occasion that my company was a part of a Ghana government delegation to Qatar, and we were going to look for funding for certain housing. Then when one of our staff got there, and when we did our fundamentals and the calculation, the amount of money that we were looking was about $50 million. And then they sat down and did the calculation, the access. So is this 50 million that will come all the way to Qatar to look? And that they don't deal anything less than 350 million. So if we are not serious, we should not come there again. And then the access, who are the people going to buy this house? Does it mean that they don't earn an income? So the whole issue is that our income levels are very low because our GDPs are low, because the calculation is also low. So let's go back. Call friends like Wapo and others who are sitting at the Fair Wages Commission to sit down and let's do the recalibration. Because to me, if a middle-level income earner like nurses, police, and those technicians, if they earn around $2,000, equivalent of about 12,000 cedis, I don't think it's anything bad that they cannot afford an affordable house of about $80,000 or $60,000, 3-bedroom, with a husband, a policeman, or somebody in the services, or even doing his own business, the informal sector. We have so many people who can afford.
Someone is just taking 2,000, 3,000 Ghana cedis a month. That would be quite difficult for that person.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. If we look at the cost and you look at, even if we decide to even not add any percentage in terms of interest, the person cannot afford it. And to me, money should not be just allowed to go free. I am among the people who insist that even government cannot say that I'm providing free land. How can the government pay free land? The government should cost the land and then deduct it from the mortgage and save it for future generation, for the generation unborn. You get a land today and say that you are going to give it out free. How can it be? It is no.
A mortgage levy or a levy to deal with this mortgage finance in this country, do you think we need it now? Because it appears that it will be a challenge, a levy that would later go a long way to deal with mortgage financing. More of
we can decide to have a mortgage levy. We can put it on cement, we can put it in anything, but people will say that the cement prices are already skyrocketing and that it is average of about $9 or $8 equivalent per bag of cement of 50 kilos or so. If that one, those who are doing the mathematics and the tax experts sit down, if they cannot go that way, I would like to pray to the authorities for us to look at the informal sector of this economy. The 87% of the economy is handled by informal sector. And I'm saying that if we are having about working population where 87% are in the hands of the informal SMEs, and most of them have been earning a lot of money that has not been captured. We can use the informal social security program to capture them, and then we take their funds, because social security funds are very cheaper funds. And with that, we could encourage them to all come onto the platform for them to all get mortgages. Because you see a lot of people building. And in Ghana, the large population housing census, as it was done, out of the total 2 million or so of the built properties, whether they are shanties or whatever it is, 90% of the properties are owned by private people, with 80% of it being private funds. So where are the funds coming from? The funds are coming from our pocket. And they have very nice, beautiful houses. So why not let's capture the informal sector and then get cheaper funds and then on land at a concessional rate? Because at the end of the day, the government is going to get a lot of money from payee. If we are able to do housing in the formal sector, a lot of people will be paying their pay as you earn taxes, and at the end of the day, whatever even loan, the interest that is concessional will be mitigated by the payee. And for that matter, we should rather look at it.
But I asked you about this levy or this mortgage levy because it appears that we've struggled over the years to get around mortgage financing. And do you think that now could be the time for us to look at this mortgage levy thing?
Yeah, well, it is up to the country to look at it.
But it's something that you propose.
Yeah, I have always been saying that.
You think we need it now?
I have been saying that.
We need it
yes,
now?
we need it. We need it now, and the levy could be in several forms. But but today, what I read, and somebody brought something in the Business and Financial Times. He was saying that this is the time that we should look at the informal sector. And he's saying that 60% of the money collected by government in the form of revenue from taxes are from the indirect taxes, and which me and you know that in business, it is a bit burdensome to the lower income because it is unfair. Whether you earn a bigger or not, you pay the same. So they are arguing that, no, the government should shift and come to direct taxes in the form of payee and then corporate and other taxes. And so it makes my thinking has to be readjusted.
But now some will say that if I know that I'm paying a levy that is going to, in the end, support me in owning a house in Ghana today, wouldn't that be prudent for us to then go ahead with this levy because of what it's going to do?
Yeah, but already,
Or tax
you see, like what I saw when in the South Africa, when President Mandela came to power in 1994, he said, oh, I don't know how to run a country, but then the areas that we should concentrate on should be in the area of housing, should be in the area of black getting opportunity to buy their houses, the industrialization and all that. So they took together some group of experts, visited America, looked at the American model and copied it. And as I checked, by 2010 or so, about 3-point-something million houses have been delivered as a result of their housing delivery system. So to me, let's look at the American model. Because when Roosevelt came, that was the same thing. The black community were not given accessibility into housing mortgages. The Hispanic group were not also allowed. But by virtue of the establishment of the housing authority, that created a housing fund that was fed by the government from the budget. It was able to provide bigger monies and circulating funds so big enough that then the equalization in the form of you belong to this party or not didn't come in.
So this levy would help contribute to a fund.
Yes.
That is going to help pre-finance these houses or step down the cost of housing in this country.
Naturally, if we want to look at it critically about a special fund, because I'm saying that the government should be able to give us a very big, what I call the big push. So if we say that every year we are going to spend about 500 million to $1 billion on housing, and it could go on and go on for the next till that kingdom come, then naturally people will be able to afford to go and access those facilities. And it has got a very long-term effect in terms of the economy, creating employment, reducing crime, giving the opportunity for people to have a good, healthy environment to live. Sanitation is okay. There's social control in the form of people living with their family and making sure that kids are well taken care of. And then even in marriage, when you go and marry, then the two of you are supposed to pay for the mortgage. You are not going to leave your wife or the wife leaving you easily because it is jointly owned and then you have to bear the two costs. So all these things together, housing is so important. But to use a special levy, for me, as at today, what I've read, I have to go back and do a better research on that. But initially, that was my position. But I'm saying that there are so many taxes that are in our books that we are not collecting them.
Yeah.
They are too many.
So
we don't need to even add new taxes.
So we can
collect these taxes. Let's go to the people. Let's talk to people. Let's engage people. Let them understand that this country can only grow when we are able to pay our taxes. So I don't see why in this country we then talk about tax, we create it, and then we leave it.
So if you can have the existing tax system by still moving some of these taxes into this fund.
Yeah, but the whole thing goes to the kitty of the government, to the consolidated fund. The rent tax, all those things goes to the consolidated fund. So what we have to do is that we are having a population of 35 million. Out of this 35 million, only 1.7 million or so are paying direct taxes in the form of payee. But I don't want to believe that when you take 1.2 million being the Ghanaian labor of the formal sector, with about 700,000 thereof being teachers, they're not having so many people who are also on their own or earning income in the form of working in private establishment that we are not paying payee. All these things, we should go back to it. And then I have even been advocating that if we should even go ahead and say that, look, let's stop even progressive tax charges in terms of progressive taxes in the form of the more that you earn, the more you pay. And then we say so that we do a flat rate by amending the tax law. And then after collecting it over a period, that people have now become used to the fact that you have to pay 10% of your income flat rate without even making provision for exemptions. We'll be able to collect a lot of money.
Now let me turn the satellite on you. And you are a real estate developer.
Very good.
We've talked about government. I'll come back to government again. Some are saying that housing by real estate firms in Ghana today is so expensive. I've seen a lot of houses, and I ask myself that when I see a lot of houses in the metropolis that are not complete, that people are not living in, I ask myself, why are we still talking about housing deficit? Why is it so expensive? Why are your buildings so expensive? I'm right to say that.
Okay, I'll explain it. In the first place, before you can decide or determine price, there are some inputs that you consider.
You import them?
No, the inputs.
Okay.
When you want to, when you produce this phone, before you when you want to determine the price of this phone, you will consider inputs. The inputs being the share that you did, whatever you did. So the same thing with housing. No, the same thing with real estate. Real estate is a business. Real estate is not a social thing. Real estate is something that you set up, you take money, you put up a house, you put up a building. It could be commercial, it could be agri estate, it could be recreational estate, and then you sell. So depending on what you earn, depending on what you have in your purse, then you will take a decision that I want to go into real estate as a business. So I'm going to buy a house. Whether you are going to take a loan, you are going to take a mortgage to buy it, that is up to you. But what we have realized is that the cost of land in a good prime area in Ghana are very expensive. They are very expensive because to acquire land in this country, the problem that is associated with it in terms of uncertainty about who owns it, you can never. And we live in a country where the law says that it is only a court of competent jurisdiction that has the right to determine, or that has to determine your title. And that one, even look at the number of years it will take you to determine who owns a land. The court action can take you 20 to 30 years. And therefore, the cost of it is so high. And if you want your piece, you normally buy it 3 times before you get your 20th year.
But I'm saying, which one is...
So apart from that, the cost of the materials are also imported. And not even being imported, they are part of the normal...
Why are you importing sources locally to break down the cost?
Oh, I don't see anything wrong in importing things that you don't have. You don't have it. So when you don't have it, you import it. And then when you import it, you use it. You pay for labor. So you do all the quantification, and then at the end of the day, you cost the property that you have put up. And then you add your margins. And whether you like it or not, it is what you add. And if whatever you add is not something that is sustainable, is not something that is competitive, nobody will buy. But because it's competitive and the price is moderate compared to others, you see that people buy. And funny enough, the price of buildings in Ghana are cheaper than the same type of house also in a similar environment in Nigeria. It's also far cheaper than what is in Hong Kong. It is far cheaper than what is in London.
Interesting, because the people complain they see a $3 million house in Ghana.
They don't know.
That you will get a far better house in the US than what is being sold here.
They don't know. I asked somebody to check for me the value of 1 acre land if it is available at America at the Empire State Building. And the 2018 figure that I had was a $92 million per 1 acre at the Empire State Building.
But
92. What is the highest price of a land in Ghana? Probably the one that is around wherever that they are having problems at Gomua, that may be the expensive. But in Accra, no 1 acre land is more than $10 million.
I've seen some of these buildings that have sprung up that nobody is inside. And these buildings are still expensive. Well, that's your investment to lock them.
But those are the things that are properties. Anytime that you put properties, that is why we always say that when you are putting up properties or you are doing real estate business, you need patient capital. You don't expect that.
Shouldn't go to the bank?
It doesn't. No, banks are not supposed. The banks are supposed to give mortgages, but you should go to a mortgage company that can get cheaper
You wouldn't
funds.
advise, if I'm going into mortgage into real estate right now on a small scale, you wouldn't advise me that, George, go and borrow from a bank to build.
No, you get your fingers bent. You can't.
And I'll be coming back to you.
Yeah, you can.
I'll be
I
getting
mean, in Ghana now, because there's no market. There's no market for the.
People are building all over.
Yeah, because you build because
Unless they're getting the money from somewhere.
No, you build because the inflationary country that we find ourselves as Ghana. You need to put your money into such assets that are a hedge against inflation. It's a hedge even against foreign exchange fluctuation.
Yeah.
Yes, these are the two key problems.
That is why people are building up those
because it's
in
better.
the areas.
It's better because today the price of 1 ton of iron rods is 5,300 cedis per half-inch 12 mm. And but about 6 months ago or a year ago, 1 ton of iron rods was only 3,200. So if I have put up a house that is standing there, and you ask me for the open market value of that property, the valuer will take into consideration the quantity price of those materials as at today and depreciate it.
Then we'll take a short break and be right back. I'm talking to the Northern Chairman. He's the executive chairman of Comet Property. He's a lawyer. We're trying to get a better understanding of the housing issue. And we'll be coming back to also to get something about land title, land ownership in Ghana today, and also public provision of housing in the country. What is the best way forward? The proposals also about having a mortgage levy to deal with the challenge for someone like you as well. It's PM Express Business Edition. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome to PM Express Business Edition as we talk about something that is dear to the hearts of many Ghanaians out there. Housing in Ghana today. Do you build, buy, or rent as a young executive out there, a young worker out there? You have with me in the studio, Nana Denho Chairman. He's the executive chairman of Comet Properties, and he's also a lawyer as well when it comes to this whole real estate housing in this country. Nana, so there's one question that has always been on my mind and my head. As a young person, should I build, should I buy, or should I rent?
As a young person, if I have the opportunity to advise you, want me to tell you, I don't know what is in your pocket, but rent is zero. Don't rent.
I shouldn't rent.
If you have the means to acquire, don't rent. Because a property, like I told you, is something that is a shock against inflation, a shock against currency fluctuation and all that, because we determine most of these properties in dollar. But if you have the opportunity and you have the means, build a house. You build a house by getting the necessary technical people to provide the support services for them to supervise a contractor and then deliver. It's your own building. You build it. You build it. You didn't buy. You had the land. And then you build it by getting the architect, getting the quantity surveyor, getting the engineer who takes care of structures, and getting the engineer who look at the civil. And then you get the horticulturist who will take care of the surroundings, the plumbing, the mechanical looks at it, and then the electricians. And at the end of the day, the contractor is also paid. So I would say that don't say that you are going to build by you physically leaving this office and then at 5 o'clock you ride to the site to see whether the mason was doing the work. Because at the end of the day, the mason may not be doing the right thing, but there's no supervisor. And you yourself, you are not a technical man, may not know the things. So I'm saying that let's do housing, let's build houses, let's construct houses in a more professional way, in a more organized system than what we've been doing around. We've been wasting the Ghanaian land, we've been wasting our suburbs, all because people just rush to anywhere without even whether there's a planning scheme for the area or not, whether there are layouts that shows where there's road, where there's supposed to be water lines and all that. They don't care. They start building. then we as developers, when you are passing around, you realize that most of the buildings are nothing to write home about. But at the end of the day, they built. And when they finish, they time the government, whoever is in power, then they start broadcast. No electricity in this area, we will not vote for you. They will harass the
but shouldn't it be the responsibility of the real estate developer to ensure that all these social amenities are there, and then the road as well?
I want to reply it. I love laws. I want to obey laws, and I go by laws because laws are made to make man better. Laws are not made to destroy man. In Ghana, we have a lot of laws. My best 2 laws that I always carry anywhere that I go is the Land Use and Spatial Planning Act 925, and then the Local Government and Decentralization Act 936, which is repealed the 462. In that law, it is stated that the municipal authority is supposed to provide the facilities of road, electricity, and everything. And then in the event that they are not able to do it, then a real estate company can do so. And if it happened that way, the real estate then charge what we call development charge or development levy. In this country, you think that the law is this and you want to apply it. You sit down and municipal authorities don't respect the laws. Anybody goes anywhere, he start building. Then you see them lobbying government, they see them MP lobbying, then they take 10 kilometers. This year, we will see 10 kilometers, mobile 10 kilometers, then they go and put roads into it for them. So the people don't care. Whatever they build, they don't care because they don't provide for the facilities. But the law says that you have to pay. It's not the central government that pays for the road to your house. It's not the central government that pays for the street to your house. It's not the central government that pays for the water to your house. It's not the central government that pays for electricity to your house. It is part of the cost. And you should never be given a permit to build unless you pay the development levy. After paying the development levy, that ensures that those things have been paid to the assembly. Then before you go ahead to pay a building permit, the building permit is supposed to handle the integrity of the building. Structure man looking at the iron rods and all that. Why in this country they don't? People use political links, go and take a bush, and then they get somebody pushing it.
It should be the responsibility of the developer to do that?
It is not. If it's I do it, you pay me. I'm having a facility.
I won't mention names. Even it's Legon, and there are properties there. These are $1 million properties.
Fine.
And roads leading to those estates are terrible.
Yes, because it is the road that is outside my estate is not my work.
Not your estate. I'm
but what
estate here?
The highway. The urban roads are for urban roads. The highways are for highways. But I'm saying that the local roads to your house is the duty of your municipal authority.
So we should.
And the law says, the 936 is saying that your house, the road to your house at Lakeside, at everywhere, is supposed to be done by the municipal authority. The municipal authority is not a Father Christmas. He takes money, he can go for municipal bonds and then do it, and then levy you to pay. Or, if they think that they've gotten enough money, they are duty bound to do it. But when they do it, and then you don't pay for anything, then they are entitled to charge you betterment. It is in the law. So that when you sell your house, transfer the ownership or give it by any form of disposition, you are supposed to pay for the betterment. It's calculated, and you pay it before a stamping authority stamps your document. That becomes a legal tender. That becomes a title tender.
So then I'm sorry to backtrack a little bit. So if I get from your advice, build is the best option.
Yes, it's the best option. Building is the best option, better than rental. Rental is zero, and then also going to buy. You may not actually get what you want because probably you may need a small kitchen. But if you are to go and marry, your wife will say he needs a big kitchen. So those things, your specification will not be met by the developer. But what I've been trying to say is that this country, we need to fix ourselves. By fixing ourselves, meaning that we should pay our dues to the appropriate authorities in order to provide the facilities for us. We are in a country that everybody is shouting, but nobody pays for anything. And then the law says that you cannot have it. So I'm advocating that every district in this capital, let's start Accra, should have its own high court, should have a valuation division, and should have a land title office in that district. So that when you go there, this accruers or monies that are supposed to pay the assemblies, and you don't get it, you don't get your title.
And now you are a lawyer.
Yeah,
Land
very good.
ownership in Ghana today,
Yeah.
it's been a hell wherever you are standing. What would advice would you give to government in Delhi? Should it still be vested in the family, the chiefs, or government?
It's a dicey thing. And I've been talking about this for so many years.
What should be the way forward?
I've been in this real estate business for over 30 years. And I realized it depends on where I talk. When I once met a group of people at the Canton Fair in China, and they were from Ivory Coast. And then I told them, the problem in my country about land acquisition is a headache. They told me, my friend, yours is good. I said, why should mine be good? Because in Ivory Coast, it's the state that owns everything. Then they told me,
should you have the same thing in Ghana?
we don't have it.
Should we have the same thing in
In
Ghana?
Ghana, the law takes care of that. The law takes it. The law that I'm sitting here with you, 936, saying that before me, as a developer, I should build. The municipal authority should go and acquire the land. Just get it for me. I pay to the municipality, and then it will extinguish all interest, and then becomes the municipal land. The law is there. We don't need to talk about it. So
Why are we struggling?
it's because we don't want to apply the laws.
So
Ghana, we don't want to apply the law
now.
We don't want to
because
look. The
family
government should sit
chief
down and
ownership.
then get consultant and get local people. We sit down. Everything we are talking in this country has been sent to the municipality. The central government is not supposed.
Centralizing.
Yeah. So we need to decentralize. We need to empower, build the capacity of our local government. Don't let us bother about these big office buildings we are putting. Grassroots alone, look at the big buildings we are putting. It's unnecessary.
So why-
With the digitization and then this your Nigerian will say kinika. Things are even done
So if you
better.
know the laws are there, why are we not just enforcing it? That land guardism, killing of people.
It's because a lot of people have invested in this land. And then when the Ghanaian situation, when you want to talk about the truth, people are quiet. But then when you wake up and then you act, they come to follow it. One or two municipalities have engaged me, and we are doing a consultancy. We want to try and see how best we'll be able to get people to be accountable and be providing for the facilities that they own.
And you're a real estate developer.
I am, please.
Current Seglema housing project. Are you worried that as a country we are still struggling with some of these things?
I have not had the opportunity to read the whole contract.
Fine details.
Yes,
But
but to me, that project was probably started in 2012, and I'm told that 2014, somewhere 2014, there was this. And if those properties, when I used to pass the place and go to Adan, I call it, they are like military barracks.
you're not cancel flights with
Yeah, they are just simple. And at that time that they did it, I expect that per square meter should have not been more than $200.
You think there was a problem with the pricing
The
itself?
pricing, $200 million should be able to build 5,000 houses, including the facilities around. Anybody who is arguing, let's meet and then brainstorm on this, and then we'll look at figures.
Are you worried?
What are they telling us? We live in a country, and anything that Ghana has to do, we always want to bring things outside. Who tells you that when you want to grow your economy, when you want to create jobs, you go and bring foreigners to come and do buildings for you?
You think Ghanaians should be doing the public
Easily. This $400 per square meter for 5,000 houses will give you $200 million, including the cost. Most developers will do this if they have money.
Public housing should be done by local
Yeah,
contractors.
because how can you create your country by bringing foreigners to do this. If we don't have the money, let's stop. And then build our own money so that we reduce the cost of borrowing.
You think that
we should do that ourselves. Now 200 million is our headache. 200 million in 2012 to 2014, I'm telling you, and we can do it. We can do schedule of material. Let's calculate. Forget about bill of quantities. Let's do schedules. The trip of one son. So there's a national prefast. We are sick as a country.
You get worried by some of these things?
Most of the time. That is my problem in this country. Where are we running to? Can't we provide houses for our own selves and then we go and borrow? And then we use our gold, we use our cocoa. We are funny. We are a funny country.
Comment Properties, how are you doing? I mean, I remember you tried going to the stock market and then
I went and I didn't get the money because I was thinking that Ghana is just as free as that. Then after that, I had opportunity to go and look for some private placement in America. And they told me that, my friend, no money, private funds moves from where you are standing in Upper Manhattan around the Cedar Street next to Wall Street to your Africa. Whoever tells you is a liar. If I see American money in my country, they are bilateral.
So government shouldn't go prospecting for investors to come and invest in the public house.
They took my $35,000 to get an access to have a meeting with them, and they taught me sense. And from that time, I've advised myself. And I'm going better because I've been taught. So I look better, I'm happier, and I understand the world. So I'm very more relaxed. I'm saying that the money is in this country and that let's tackle the informal, let's be patient, let's sit down. This country is not running away. And we should be able to get our people to understand that give the government the money. The government is weak because we are not paying taxes.
Obviously, we have to draw the curtain down. We have to do a part two of this. Now, the no chairman thing is the executive chairman of Comment Properties, a lawyer as well when it comes to house. And I believe that the debate will still go on when it comes to build, buy, and rent, and getting a better challenge around land issues and housing in Ghana. PM Express, Business Edition, you have to draw the curtain down. Have a great day.